Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode we do a panorama with Photoshop elements. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs and welcome to episode 59 of my photography, Lightroom and Photoshop tips. My name is Serge Ramelli, I'm a French photographer living in Paris, and here is Kelvin Pimon, one of my best friends, and he is French but he lives in Los Angeles. Hello Kelvin.
Hey, how's it going?
So he does speak a lot better English than I do, but he speaks French too, n'est-ce pas?
Bien sûr.
All right. Now, Kelvin is here because he's the one that got me into photography 8 years ago. He's been a retoucher forever. Since he was a kid, he was retouching, and I'm not kidding. He's probably one of the best retouchers I know on the planet. And I asked him to help me do some tutorials on Photoshop elements. The whole idea is that people have been writing me saying that, you know, Photoshop elements is only $69. Now Photoshop is a subscription service, like $10 per month or $20 per month. So Photoshop Elements is a lot cheaper. A lot of people have it, and so I wanted to ask Kelvin to help me show how I work on a day-to-day basis, but with elements, right?
Right.
So what are we going to show in this tutorial?
We're going to be taking two of your photos and making a panoramic photo, and seeing how you can go through the limited features of Photoshop Elements, but still getting a beautiful photo and really transforming your workflow from Lightroom to Photoshop and using that in Photoshop Elements.
Exactly. So this is the before photo. That's the raw file which has not retouched. This is the final result. So let's see with Kelvin how we can do this.
There's a few limitations in Photoshop Elements, but you'll see in this in the next five or 10 minutes that we can get actually really close. And there's a few things that are dumbed down and simplified, but I think you'll be surprised at the result.
Okay, so let's do it.
Okay, so here we are in the organizer, and I have two raw files here, which I'm going to select.
Yeah.
And
which, by the way, I shot last week in Cassis. It's a small village in the south of France.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Looks pretty amazing. So I select them both.
Yeah.
And you can do that using the Shift key. And then you can right-click and edit with Photoshop Elements Editor. Yeah,
similar to like going from Lightroom to Photoshop.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when you do this, it opens up Photoshop's Elements Editor, and you get the Camera Raw editor.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I was like surprised there's only 3 tabs when there is like 8 or 9 in the regular camera from Photoshop. But still, we can do some stuff, right?
You can do a lot. You'll see that for sure in Lightroom you have the full set of tools, and I mean Lightroom is Lightroom for a reason. I mean, people love Lightroom for a good reason. It's a great program. Now Photoshop Elements, you can still manipulate Camera Raw files, and let me show you.
Okay.
So as you do in your normal workflow, you always start with your highlights.
Yeah, minus 100 and shadows plus 100.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever seen any of your tutorials knows this by heart.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's take the exposure down just a notch, and let's add a little bit of contrast, something like that.
Cool.
All right, and then in your whites, the same way you do, which with the Alt key until you start seeing a little bit of detail. So
yeah, I think we saw that before. We had to go to plus 26, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Because we tried this before. You know, this is not the first time we do it.
Yeah, it's not the first time we're trying this, but
okay, it's
something like that. You don't want to burn them out. You don't want to burn your whites, and same thing with your blacks. You want to bring them down a notch.
So yeah, and blacks, as I always say, I always go much further than the whites. I have a lot of more dark points. Okay, so we've got a pretty dark photo right now.
Right. Okay.
But it's dense, and we will do some maybe dodge and burning and things to get it nicer later on, right?
Yeah. Like I said, this is basic camera raw editing, and what we can do is add a little bit of clarity.
So clarity is great because it adds punch to the photo. I love that.
Yeah, and this is the same exact clarity that you find in Lightroom.
Yeah.
And then your vibrance will saturate a little bit your image. Let's go up to somewhere around 40.
Yeah, and all you have to do is the white balance, I think, that we do to shade. I asked you to do this to get the white balance to shade, because shade is what works the best usually with sunsets.
Right.
So shade is going to warm up the whole photo, and it's going to more be a sunset feeling like. Okay, perfect.
Exactly. So now you have, we're really mimicking what you usually do to your landscape photos.
Yes, exactly.
Let's take a look in the second tab right here, where we have sharpening. Now, sharpening, we can bring it up to about...
Yeah, I usually put it around 80 or something. That's usually what I do. That's like my basic sharpening. And I sometimes, in the radius around 0.6. Yeah, that's perfect.
Something like this, yeah.
Yeah, there's not much noise. This photo is pretty... I shot this at 100 ISO on the tripod, so there's not much noise. There's a lot of dust from sensor. I had a lot of sensor dust.
Yeah, we can see that over here, but we can get rid of that pretty easy.
Okay.
So I just zoomed in so you can see by sharpening the image, we don't want to get too much noise, and we're pretty...
yeah, it makes the sky is not a bit grainy, so the masking option is the one that's going to take it out, right?
Exactly. So just like in Lightroom, you can use masking, and by holding down the Alt key, you can see what we're masking. So we're really going to try to mask out the sky.
Yeah, anything which is black, nothing is going to get sharpened.
Exactly.
So yeah, usually I go between 30 and 50, which is going to make a non-grainy sky, basically. All right?
Exactly. So you're not sharpening the sky. There's no reason to sharpen your clouds. They stay nice and fluffy.
Exactly. Well, so far you're doing good.
All right. So now I've done all these changes. And I basically, the one thing that you don't have in Photoshop Elements that you have in Lightroom is with a single click of a button, I can take, in Lightroom, you could just take all these adjustments and put it onto the second photo. Right. Unfortunately, we're going to do this manually.
Yeah, that's funny. There's no way. We haven't found a way yet. I mean, we're just starting on Photoshop Elements, but we haven't found a way to synchronize what we did on the first photo on the second photo. So we have to redo all that on the second before we merge it, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so what we're going to do is go to the second one and do the same thing. So go into here, go to shade. In exposure, we had -0.5. In the contrast, we had 11. In the highlights, -100. Shadows, +100. The whites, we had 26. The blacks, 60, clarity 31, and vibrance 43.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go into here and take the sharpening. I think we had something like...
yeah, around 80.
80. Let me just check it to double check. It's important to have the same things because we're going to be putting them together.
Yeah, stitching them. Yeah.
We're going to be stitching them, so you really don't want to have very big differences. Here, +0.6. And looks like we are masking, which was at 40. And here we go.
Okay,
so
perfect. Yeah.
All right, so now I can do, I selected them both.
Yeah.
And as you notice, it changed from open image to open images. See if I only have one, it just open image.
Absolutely, yeah.
Shift click, open images.
So it's going to open both images in Photoshop 11. No, that's the editor, right? That's like the equivalent of Photoshop.
Exactly.
But for $69, which is cheap.
Yeah. Huh. Now, if this was the first time you're opening it, it would probably open in the quick mode.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the quick mode doesn't let you use the
photo merge option.
Photo merge option, which is what we're going to use here. So if this is the first time you're opening, just go to the expert mode.
Okay.
And don't get too overwhelmed by all the little tools. This is going to be really dead simple.
Okay.
All right, and then once you have this, you can go to the enhanced menu, go to photo merge, and go to photo merge panorama.
Exactly.
Click on that, and it'll tell you use files. So
add open files is what you do.
We're going to add the open files, which are both images that you see down here, and just leave it on automatic. Leave blend images together checked, and leave vignetted removal and geometric distortion correction unchecked.
Yeah, which is exactly what I do when I do my panels. I just find it to work better.
Right. So this works exactly the same. So we're just going to hit OK, and it's going to create the panorama.
Okay, so let me put on pause maybe.
All right, so it'll ask you if you'd like to automatically fill in the edges of your panorama. if you can do it. This computer is a, really the latest generation computer, has a lot of memory, but for some reason, when we hit yes, it'll, it tried to fill it. Yeah, it says it can't do it because there's not enough RAM.
Yeah, which is weird because, I mean, okay, it is 2 very high-res files, but I mean, I have the latest iMac 27-inch with 32 gigs of memory, and it doesn't work. So that's really something Adobe needs to correct. But anyways, we're gonna crop a lot of the photo, right?
We wanted to crop this image anyway, so
yeah, because this photo, as I said, this photo was not shot to be a panorama. Because when you shoot for a panorama, the reason why we have this problem like with the rocks on the right is because I shot this very wide angle, like maybe around 20 millimeter. A good panorama is minimum 30 or 40. But we thought that there was a way to still crop it and it looks nice at the end, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to give a real sense of space. So really like the traditional panoramic view.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do actually is go in here and merge visible. All right, because we don't need all these extra layers.
Yeah.
And that way the processing will actually be faster.
Yeah, less layers, faster processing.
Exactly. So one of the first things we're going to do is crop the image. So we do that using the crop tool down here.
Yeah.
And just click and drag. And let's see what kind of cropping. Something like here. And something like here.
Yeah, that is cool. That looks really like a pano.
Yeah. I mean, we're really trying to give a sense of width and space. So this looks pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so I hit enter, and we've got our starting photo pretty good. Now the first thing I'm going to do is fill in the sky here.
Yeah. Now that's very easy to do in Photoshop because I just select it and do content aware fill, and it does it. But on Elements, we couldn't find the content awareness, so we have to get a workaround, right?
Yeah, and a workaround that's actually really simple. I can do this in a few clicks. You're going to take the selection tool, make a little rectangle somewhere around here, something like this.
Okay.
And you're going to make a new layer via copy.
Which is Command J. I don't think you have it as a shortcut.
It doesn't look like it's in here as a shortcut.
Yeah, but don't you feather it a little bit? No?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll just keep it straight as it is. Here we go. New layer via copy.
Yeah, okay.
And then you're going to do Command T to transform.
So new layer via copy is just going to copy on its own layer just what he selected and nothing else. So a little rectangle of blue. That's
which you can see right here.
Exactly. That's all he selected. Okay.
Right. All right. So, and then you're going to go in your transform mode, which is Command T.
Yeah, Command T is the famous
Command T.
Okay.
And we're going to go in here and just fill it in. We're basically using it as a mirror. Right?
Okay.
Okay, and as you saw, I took quite a bit overlapping over here so that I can now hit enter and create a mask to this layer.
Okay.
And now
so the mask is white by default, which means that everything on that layer is visible, right?
Correct. And now I'm going to go and make a gradient and go from here to say here.
Okay, so just 1 second. So you're doing a gradient. We can see on the bottom left that it's black to transparent, right?
Correct.
That's what you choose.
Yeah.
So black is going to basically, so you can do Command Z and redo it if it's too.
Yeah,
exactly.
I can go back. Now,
show how you choose the gradient, yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. I went a little quick there. I picked the gradient tool, and in here, you can, by default, it's black to white.
Which is not what you want.
It's really foreground to background. I want foreground to transparent.
Which is in the foreground being the black.
Correct.
Okay, and that's the way where you're going to basically...
that means that black masks and transparent remains revealing.
Okay.
Right? Since everything is white. And so I make sure that my mask is activated, which you can see by the light blue outline here.
Yeah.
And then I just click and drag something like here. And
that looks cool.
It made a nice feathered mask. And there you go.
Cool.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing and merge visible again.
Cool. Now you also have a lot of my spots because I was shooting a lot by the sand and I think I got a lot of dust. So I don't think I ever had so much dust in photos than this too.
Yeah, so these are pretty simple to fix, which you can do just like in Photoshop, is we'll use the spot healing brush tool. So let's zoom in a little bit.
How do you zoom in on elements?
So you can zoom in zoom in a number of ways. You can use the command plus and minus,
which is okay, fine.
Which is pretty standard. You can also use the zoom tool and click a number of times, and the alt key becomes a minus zoom, so you zoom out.
Cool.
So pretty standard. All right, and you can use your hand tool to move the canvas around. All right, so let's take the spot healing brush tool and go over here and just brush over here. It's content aware, so it really just takes the pixels around there and gets rid of.
Yeah, that works exactly like Photoshop, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's actually a great advantage to have this in Photoshop Elements. Fairly advanced tool, and we're pretty happy to have it in Elements.
Yeah, I must say, I mean, I don't know much Elements. I've been studying it for some time, and I was impressed what you can do for $69. I mean, compared to the price of Photoshop, and I surveyed and I see there's a lot of people which have Elements, and we want to do a lot more tutorials. So to show that, you know, my workflow, how we can fit it into Photoshop Elements, you know, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. No,
like for example, one thing that I do a lot, which is a very simple dodge and burn, and you will see that Kelvin is going to do it exactly how I do it in Photoshop. So just using an overlay layer, I'm sorry. So anyway, you took most of it. I think there is there's one there, and yeah, cool. Also, the photo's a bit crooked. Maybe we can, at the end, do something.
Yeah, we can adjust a little bit. All right, I'm going to zoom back out.
Okay, that's perfect. That already looks pretty nice. I love the panel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful area, beautiful photo. So the next thing I'm going to do is some dodge and burning.
Cool.
So I'm going to create a new layer up here, and I'm going to put it in
overlay
mode.
That's exactly like I do in Photoshop.
Right, so you have the same exact tool. Really, your layers are almost identical to how they are in Photoshop.
Okay.
Now with the standard brush tool, which you find down here, and we'll make the so the brush size right now is pretty much the right size. Maybe
it's pretty big, but it's good, which is good.
Yeah.
So now yours is black.
The opacity that you see down here is 18%, and I'm going to make the white in the foreground.
Good.
Right?
Yeah, exactly like I do. It's 20, because 20 is a good number. Otherwise, it's going to be too much visible if you're over 20. But 20 in overlay works pretty well.
Yeah, and I might make it a little bit smaller, but something like that, right?
Okay.
And now you can go ahead and basically dodge the ocean a little bit, give it some rays like that.
Yeah, I love that.
And
I also do it usually with the water by the rocks, you know.
Yeah, like somewhere around here. Yeah. You can have a little bit up in the.
On the city it works real well because.
Yeah, make some of this come out a little bit. And something like that. It's nice. It gives it a little bit of gives it more depth.
Yeah.
And then take black, probably with a little bit of a bigger brush, something like that. And black basically is going to burn, and we'll do that in the skies to give it a little more depth.
That's really cool.
So far we're able to give a pretty similar look.
Yeah, can I see before and after? So dodge and burn, just the layer?
Yeah, so you can just hide the layer here.
Oh, what a change. It's amazing. I'm always amazed what dodge and burn does. It's really cool. Okay.
All right, and another thing I would do to this photo is add a little bit of contrast adjustment.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can do that using your levels. Now you don't have curves, but you do have levels. So if I add an adjustment layer up here of levels, I see that I can bring in my highlights considerably, and you see how it opens up that photo. When you bring in your highlights, I have a tendency to bring in my midtones just a notch.
Yeah. Yeah, so you boost it. It gives contrast. The highlights are brighter, but then the overall midtones are a bit darker.
Exactly.
That's really
cool. Show
cool.
you before and after.
Amazing change, yeah.
So it's quite a change. All right, so now I can close this, and I have these 3 layers up here, and we're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
I would say the only thing, if you want to, is to adjust the horizontal level.
Yeah.
And you can do this manually.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and merge visible again.
Yeah. Flatten one layer.
Yeah. And then now using the Command T for transform, you can try to bring it up. So holding down the Command and the Shift, I'm distorting the entire image and bringing it up to straighten out the horizon.
Okay.
All right. So it's quite a marked difference there.
Yeah.
Don't want to do too much because, as you can see, the buildings are starting to be a little skewed up here.
Yeah.
But this tower over here is starting to be a little straighter.
Yes.
So
yeah, as I said, these photos were not made for Panorama. We're just playing around with them, but I think the result is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So here I hit enter, and it's going to do this little calculation, and there you go.
Really cool. Very nice. Well, thank you very much, Kelvin. And I know you're working on making a full tutorial, which I'll be working with on Adobe Photoshop Elements 11, and that's coming out pretty soon, right?
Yes. We're trying to cover up almost everything that you have shown with Photoshop and Lightroom, seeing how we can translate that to Photoshop Elements, because not everybody can afford the full creative suite.
Exactly.
So,
that's really good. Well, thank you very much, Kelvin, and let's get back to the studio. Okay, so I hope you like the tutorial. I think Elements is really pretty awesome actually for $69, right?
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, Jean-Michel Bertz just released a new black and white tutorial called The Art of Black and White Part 2 Landscapes. Here is all the final results. You can see there's 4 projects, and I really love them because I asked Jean-Michel to do things that he didn't do in part 1. And so he's revealing all kind of new techniques which I love to get the best out of your black and white photos. You should really check it out. It's here on my website and it's being released tonight. I will make another more introductory video on my YouTube channel explaining a bit more what he's gone over, but you can check it out right away. Thank you very much, and I hope I'll see you next week.